Welcome to this explainer. Let's just jump right in because today we are looking at a seriously fascinating cultural phenomenon. We're heading to Liverpool in August. Now, if you think you know Liverpool just from standard tourist guides or postcards, you are definitely only seeing the surface. What our sources show is a city that literally transforms into an absolute non-stop powerhouse of culture every single summer. It is electric. So we've got to ask ourselves, what exactly makes August in this specific city so incredibly special? Why is this month out of the whole year an absolute magnet for both the locals, the Scousers, and international visitors? Well, it's not just some random collection of events. It is something so much deeper. The answer actually lies in four distinct pillars of the city's culture. And honestly, it's a total masterclass in contradictions. You've got the booming, joyful noise of that massive global Beatles legacy standing right alongside the solemn, quiet pain of historical remembrance. Then you've got the colorful, vibrant pride of diverse communities sitting right next to the almost religious, sacred rituals of football. Tying this whole shebang together is this incredible theme of loss and miraculous resurrection. This is a city that never ever forgets its roots, but is totally fearless about writing its next chapter. Okay, Section 1, the musical heartbeat, living the legacy. In Liverpool, music isn't just history, it's a living, breathing pilgrimage. Every single August, fans from literally all over the globe flock to the city for International Beatleweek. Our source material describes this not just as a festival, but as a genuine pilgrimage back to where it all started. We're talking around 70 bands taking over iconic spaces like the Cavern Club and the Adelphi Hotel. The Adelphi basically morphs into this buzzing universe of music, stories, and wild fan activities like Ringo Bingo, plus these massive memorabilia marketplaces. It's just this huge global community coming together. Now, the story of the Matthew Street Festival hits the nail on the head when we talk about loss and resurrection. Back in the day, starting in '93, this was Europe's largest free music festival. It drew hundreds of thousands to the streets. But it was sadly lost in 2013 due to soaring policing costs and, rowdy behavior. For a whole decade, it was just a memory for locals. But guess what? It is making a massive, triumphant 4-day comeback in 2026 at the Pierhead, newly branded as Liverpool Celebrates. For Scousers, that is an absolute homecoming. But listen, Liverpool's musical heartbeat isn't just about playing the old classics on repeat. New traditions are blooming right now. Take the Penny Lane Weekender, for example. It started just a few years ago upstairs at Dovedale Towers, which, fun fact, is a pub where Freddie Mercury actually lived before his Queen Glory days. In 2026, they're marking exactly 60 years since the Beatles' iconic Revolver album, and they're bringing in these incredibly eclectic, vibrant grassroots artists to keep that forward momentum going. But here is a really sobering data point to give some perspective. 155. That is the exact number of grassroots music venues lost across the UK between 2024 and 2025 alone. According to the Music Venue Trust, that's why independent festivals like the Penny Lane Weekender matter so much. They aren't just fun parties, they are absolute lifelines. They are literally keeping emerging artists and local music scenes afloat when they need it the absolute most. Moving right along to Section 2, a kaleidoscope of culture, diversity on full display. This is really where we see how the city builds that strong sense of community. The sheer scale of cultural diversity across the city in August is just incredible. You've got Liverpool Pride bringing out around 75,000 people. And that's not just a party, it's a massive show of solidarity to fund and protect LGBTQ+ rights. Then you have the Afro-Cultural Carnival with its global food village and fashion, brilliantly showcasing African and Caribbean heritage. Over in Williamson Square, the Festival of Chariots brings ancient Indian traditions, Hare Krishna chanting, and free vegetarian food right out into the streets. Oh, and at the iconic bombed-out church, you can feel the heavy thumping bass of Katoomba Brazilian drumming. The whole city just becomes a canvas for global culture. And we can't forget the historic waterfront. The iconic Royal Albert Dock is actually celebrating an incredible 180 years of history. Their Festival of Summer brings this wonderfully whimsical, nostalgic energy to August. We're talking nightly projection shows lighting up that historic brickwork, pantomime-inspired Punch and Judy productions, screenings in what they call the world's smallest movie theater, and, get this, a submarine sound station right there on the dockside. But the city's pulse isn't solely about loud celebrations. That brings us to Section 3, Reflection and Remembrance, acknowledging the past. The sensory contrast here is really striking. Imagine transitioning from the booming bass and the cheers of a summer carnival into this profound, intentional silence. Liverpool has a very complex maritime history, one that is heavily tied to the transatlantic slave trade. And rather than sweeping that under the rug, the city dedicates a significant part of August to a commitment to education, healing, and racial justice. Specifically, on August 23rd, they hold the Slavery Remembrance Day Walk of Remembrance. This walk physically journeys through historically significant sites directly connected to the trafficking of enslaved Africans. It starts at noon at Williamson Square, moves past the historic Blue Coat, down to the Sugar House steps, and finally wraps up at the Pure Master's house. It's a deeply moving public commemoration that really anchors the city in reality. Central to this event is the libation ceremony. If you aren't familiar, this is an essential traditional act of honoring ancestors through spoken tribute and ritual offering. Accompanied by live drumming and spoken word, this ceremony grounds the entire day in deep respect. It serves as this incredibly powerful reminder that true community requires us to acknowledge our difficult histories just as loudly as we celebrate our wins. All right, shifting gears again for Section 4, the sacred football ritual. Football is faith. For locals, August means the holy season is back. To say football in this city is an obsession is an understatement. It is a way of life. The ritual of returning to Anfield Stadium completely dominates the August calendar. You can literally feel the electricity building week by week. It kicks off with pre-season friendlies like matches against Athletic Bilbao and AS Monaco, leading into the traditional Community Shield match. All of this acts as the ultimate tension-building runway for the highly anticipated Premier League opener. For fans, those match days, absolutely sacred. But the football calendar also mirrors that broader theme of profound remembrance we just talked about. Our sources detail how this particular August is deeply poignant, as the club and the fans unite in massive, organized tributes to honor the late club legend, Kevin Keegan. We're talking players wearing black armbands, a special fan mosaic, a designated minute silence, a commemorative program cover, and a pre-match applause. It really showcases the immense scale of the city's collective mourning. When this city loses a legend, they make sure the entire world stops to pay respect. Which brings us to our final section, Section 5, Old Traditions, New Chapters, The Spirit Remains. This perfectly ties everything together. Ultimately, Liverpool masterfully balances this fierce protection of its heritage with a total fearlessness about writing its next chapters. Take the Creamfields Festival, for instance. Before it became this massive global dance music phenomenon located elsewhere, its early days from 1999 to 2005 at the old Liverpool Airfield in Speke were monumental. Over 50,000 people would flock there. Even though the festival eventually moved on, those years are legendary for older Scousers. It just proves that while locations and formats might change, kind of like the Matthew Street Festival evolving into Liverpool Celebrates, the underlying cultural spirit of the city never, ever fades. It really all comes down to this quote from our sources. In Liverpool, the music never stops and neither does the memory. That is your ultimate takeaway from this explainer today. You are looking at a city built entirely on the contradiction of loss and resurrection. It's a place that mourns deeply, reflects honestly, and then turns the music right back up to celebrate life all over again. So, as we wrap up, I want to leave you with a question to chew on. Think about how your own hometown honors its traditions. Does it balance the past and the future as fiercely as Liverpool does? And let me know, have you ever experienced the unmatched electricity of Liverpool in August? Thanks so much for hanging out with me to explore this amazing cultural landscape. Keep seeking out the stories that make our cities pulse with life.